My dad is claiming I'm keeping his granddaughter from him. By user Basrubi. I have a beautiful 2.5 MU baby. My dad started fighting with me because I refused to leave her alone with him until he shows me he can take care of her. Change diaper, feed from bottle, warm up breast milk, etc. We had a huge fight. There was yelling. And when I told him the next day that I can't do this anymore because it's preventing me from caring for my baby properly, he complained that I am putting her over my relationships with him. Duh. So I told him she's more important, and I will talk to him when she doesn't need me 24/7, and blocked him. My mom came over a few times the next week and eventually asked if she can come over with my dad so he can see her. I said yes. He came over, threw a fit that she's asleep, and left. The next day, I was at my parents' house with her while my dad was at work. I was downstairs in the living room with her when he came back home early. My mom offered him to wash his hands and hold her, something we also fought over, and he just stopped angrily upstairs. And when Mom went to talk to him, he apparently wanted her to bring my baby to him without me. I obviously refused because she's so small and I don't trust him, even with Mom's supervision, and he's now claiming I am keeping her away from him. But maybe I should. Get it. I require anyone and everyone who wants to help with my daughter to show me that they can care for her. Taking care of a baby, especially an infant, has changed so much in the past 10 years. Let alone the 30 years since I was that age. All of the other grandparents, my mom and in-laws, were happy to help around and didn't mind having to show me that they can care for her. My dad is the only one who refused and was insulted by it. He wouldn't even change her diaper, regardless of how I phrased it. If he won't show me he can care for her while I'm away for an hour, then I can't trust him. Additionally, in this specific case, he insisted that I stay out of the room while he holds her, which is just a very strange request. I wasn't keeping her away from him. He was welcome to hold her under my supervision. He just refused to have me there, so I didn't let him hold her. Entitled Dad Wants Kid to Ride My Dog. By user Green Sweatshirt. This happened several years ago, and it still makes me angry whenever I think about it. My dog was not feeling well, and we were sitting in the waiting room of the vet's office. A family sat down across from me, and the father saw my dog and told his daughter, who looked like she was about 2 or 3 years old, to go meet Lassie. Everything was fine until she decided to start climbing onto his back. I said, "No, he has arthritis and doesn't feel well. Please don't do that." The girl's father jumped up and ran over and started screaming so close to my face that I could feel his spit. He said I had no business bringing a dog like that in here if it wasn't good with kids, and there was something wrong with me if I wouldn't let a Lassie dog play with kids. I told him that he has arthritis and is not feeling well, and I did not want her trying to ride him. He verbally abused me, female baby boomer, some more, and told me to take the dog out of there, the vet's office. If it wasn't okay for his daughter to play with him, my dog was perfectly well behaved. He always is. I was trying to protect him. I looked over at the vet techs hoping they would step in, but they were on the phone. He said, "Here, Lassie, here, girl," then picked up his daughter and held her over my dog to try to place her on my dog's back. I grabbed my dog's leash and pulled him out from under her just in time, and the kid started to whine. I said, "He's a boy, and he's here to see the vet. He's not a horse, and he's not here for your kid to ride." This resulted in a lot more verbal abuse from him, and I kept wishing the vet techs would get off the phone and do something. He was still berating me when a vet tech called my name and led me and my dog into an exam room. My dog was treated for gastroenteritis and recovered just fine. A little update. My dog is doing fine. His arthritis bothers him sometimes, but he is enjoying life. Fortunately, I never saw that entitled father again. I still get steamed whenever I remember him. Mom ruined my credit. By user Ty from Target. Well, recently I checked my credit report. It seems I have a Capital One account credit card with a $3,000 balance racked up on it. Bear in mind, I never opened this account. I don't really talk to my mother anymore due to life things, but Coke to find out my mother used my SN to open a card with her and me on it. She's notorious for being bad with money. That's why I tried my best to do the opposite of her. Now my credit score is getting dinged because of the high balance on the card. Not sure how to go about getting this resolved because she has no way to clear it fast enough. If there's any way to clear it in my name so I can get back on the path of good credit again. Not sure if identity theft report or fraud is the best way. Thanks. My dad expects me to text him, call him, and update him daily. Feel like I'm going crazy. By user Upbeat, Strawberry 407. Hi everyone. I, 25, have read through a ton of similar posts on here, but wanted to write my own as I feel like I'm going crazy and need some external opinions. My parents divorced when I was 2, and my dad has always done his best to be in my life. My older brother and I used to love spending the day with him every Saturday. At some point, when I was around 12 years old, my older brother stopped coming. My mom and dad had some bad custody, child support fights early on, and my older brother sided with my mom. I tried to stay neutral to avoid hurting anyone. From there until college, I would visit my dad alone. He wasn't too pushy about texts and calls, but would always cross into overprotective. He would text me almost daily to check in, and on the few instances I forgot to answer, outed to friends, fell asleep early, was sick. He'd text my mom and demand to know that I was okay. A few times, my mom was asleep as well and didn't answer, and he called the police to my mom's house in the middle of the night. Our relationship started to get really bad right before college, and we were fighting all the time, but he always attributed it to be being a hormonal teenager. I think it was because I was struggling for more independence. My first year of college, he lost his high-paying job and all his income. He had to move in with his mom, my grandma, to a different state where they still live together now. She's immunocompromised and he takes care of her, so they both have essentially not left the house since COVID. He said I'm looking for virtual work and has been doing nothing but studying daily, sleeping weird hours, and applying for jobs for the last 5 years. Not even exaggerating, they don't do much else. I haven't seen either of them in 5 years, and he says he isn't ready for me to visit because he is ashamed of the situation. Our current schedule is as follows. We speak on 2 weeks a week on a set day and time for 1 hour each. Both of these calls end up going way over an hour, and he guilts me when I try to wrap up even though I have things to do around the house. Fitness classes, dinner to make, etc. During this call, I am not allowed to walk, clean, cook, be outside, or do anything besides sit and listen. If he hears any noise in the background, he gets angry. When I try to push back on this, he says that I probably waste time on 100 other things and can set aside 2 hours or more a week to speak. We don't have much to talk about, as I don't like to tell him about my life. He likes to debate or turn everything I mention to him into a negative or life lesson. I've been in an amazing relationship for almost a year that I haven't had the energy to tell him about because I know he's going to find a million things wrong with it.
Yeah.
He has a different religion, which is apparently the worst thing in the world, even though I'm not religious and neither are my boyfriend or dad. We talk about my job occasionally, but I'm not interested in climbing the corporate ladder or learning the games he wants me to play. He doesn't have anything happening in his life either, as all he does is study for open roles he finds. He usually spends our phone call talking about the mistakes he's made in life and about how I should avoid them, current events and politics, and things going on in the career world. I'm not really interested in the things he talks about and don't want to follow in his footsteps, so I mostly just stare at the wall, listen for 1.5 hours, and try to sound interested. In addition to these calls, he also wants me to text him within 15 minutes of arriving to work. 2 days a week, different from the above days, and text him when I am home from work, before 6 a.m. If I'm running late, I have to call him and let him know. For reference, my commute is a safe and easy 20-minute ride. I also have to answer his daily nighttime check, in text asking me how things are going, if I have any questions, if I am home, etc., within 30 minutes. I am not on my phone often and missed responding on time to a few of them, which led to some really bad fights. We eventually settled on me texting him myself every night, once I was home and not planning to leave. Lastly, he wants me to let him know if I go out on the weekends and text him when I'm home, which I think is fair. One important thing to note is that when I first moved into my own place a couple years ago to be near work, he had very strict rules about where I had to live. Dormant building with cameras, safe part of the city, etc. All reasonable but expensive. I was doing well for myself, but couldn't afford those amenity buildings on my own. Think nice, where you can find affordable apartments in okay areas on a decent entry-level salary, but not the amenity buildings in very nice areas. My dad agreed to cover the rest and did so for about 1.5 years. A few months ago, right after I resigned for another year, he told me he ran out of money. I've been putting all the extra on my credit card, which he promises to pay back once he gets a job. I don't know when that will be, and of course will not be resigning unless things turn around, but kind of stuck in this situation. I wish I could say that this is the only reason I want to keep the relationship with him. Money is not worth a bad mental state. I can't say that it doesn't make me anxious, but I could end our relationship and walk away with a few thousand in debt. And the truth is that I feel bad for him, and he makes me feel guilty if I don't put him first. My parents are European, and he says it's a very American mentality to not put your family first. That I should want to call him often and should feel bad if I know he is worrying about me. That if I can text him to let him know that I'm okay, that I should. I've tried to ask that we cut back on communication and how much he relies on my responses, but he calls me selfish. For reference, I have an excellent relationship with my mom and her side of the family. I call her to chat almost daily, and we talk about all the things in her life and in mine. She knows and has met my boyfriend, and she has my location, so she always knows when I'm safe. She doesn't force anything on me and doesn't turn everything negative or into a lesson, so I love telling her about my life and keeping her updated. When I try to explain this to my dad, he basically insinuates that if my mom isn't checking in on me regularly, she doesn't care. Even as I'm typing this, I can see that it's not healthy. Or is it? I feel like I can't get an objective grasp on this. He says he is much better than most dads. Is this true? Is this true? I just don't know what to do. I don't want to cut him off or end the relationship because he doesn't have anything else. No other close friends or family besides his mom. I love him a lot. The financial tie doesn't help. It's easy to suggest setting a hard boundary, but he always follows with, so you're okay with knowing that I'm stressing out and there's something you can do to fix it, but you won't. Do I just say yes? I feel like I can't do this forever. I hate being attached to my phone and constantly anxious. I'm reaching my breaking point. I really don't know what to do. Does anyone have a couple words of advice or confirmation, either in support of my side? Thank you in advance and sorry for the length. My parents don't want me to move out at 28. By user leading leopard, 4,979. So today I just told my parent that I want to move out and leave on my own. I thought my mom had received the message well until she sat me down and told me that I can't go to live on my own because I'm sick. I got sick, broke, which affected my physicality in 2017. I have gone to physicality in 2017. I have gone to physio since then and I've recovered at least 85. This allowed me to get a well-paying job even though I'm under a 3-year, which ends in 2026. Furthermore, get my health back on track allowed me to go to driving school late last year, which I completed and got my driving license this year in March. I want to move out so that I can get my peace of mind and also continue going to the gym, which will be closer to the place I'm moving to. I want to get my health back. I'll be turning 29 years next month. My mom also has been a controlling type of person since I was young. She wants to know everything that happens in your life all the time. I really don't want to blame her. Any advice from here would be highly appreciated. I also had predicted this would happen when I tell her.